of people are rightfully so questioning Microsoft's commitment to like the Xbox hardware, and I have to be honest. I think that, to me anyway, you have to wonder at some point there's going to be some developers that are going to want to skip Xbox. They're not going to want to put their games on Xbox because it's too much of a hassle and not enough of a possible payback. You know what I mean? It's like you look around, even right now, I mean, we don't know how many Xbox Series X and S's have sold, but there's numerous reports that it's under 30 million, and like if we get into next generation, assuming Microsoft actually releases the console, there's a chance that that console could release as little, could sell as little as the Wii U or even less. So I mean, if you're talking about that, developers might not want to mess with the Xbox, but I think that we'll know a lot after this big showcase that's coming up. I know a lot of people are amped up by it, and I think what we hear in terms of releasing and things like that, I think it's going to tell us a lot. I want to get into this though, because this should make some people happy. I'm Crap Gamer. This is Crap Gamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate it. It helps out the channel, means a lot to me personally. If you guys are doing or looking for someone who does daily content, listen, look no further. That's me. I try to do content that's fun yet informative, so if you guys are interested in that, stick around, yeah. So anyway, it's a very interesting situation and the sort of place that we find ourselves in. We have this big showcase coming up. Clearly, it's not as interesting as like previous showcases, because you were going to get some exclusive games, you were going to get some of those types of things, and I think that that's like a cool thing to be excited about. It doesn't mean you hate gaming if you want exclusive games. I try to tell people that all the time. It just means that you want something that you probably bought the platform for in the first place. It's like, as long back as I can remember, I bought Nintendo consoles for Nintendo exclusives, PlayStation consoles for PlayStation exclusives, Sega consoles for Sega exclusives, Xbox consoles for Xbox exclusives. It's just the way that it's worked. But we'll see. If this turns out that we don't get this announcement, then we'll know that Xbox is probably not going to be a place for a lot of developers. It looks like 3 major Final Fantasy games are expected to get Xbox announcements, though, according to this. Anyway, a recent report hints that 3 major Final Fantasy games will soon be announced for Xbox. The Final Fantasy franchise has traditionally aligned with PlayStation platforms in recent years, with major entries like Final Fantasy 16 and the Final Fantasy 7 Remake skipping Xbox entirely. As Xbox continues to push its multi-platform strategy, this might finally be changing. As Square Enix is a Japanese publisher, it's no surprise that it would have closer ties to Sony and give it priority when it comes to its biggest IP. This has historically been the case, with the Final Fantasy franchise being synonymous with PlayStation since the original PlayStation console. Of course, the first Final Fantasy game to launch on the PS1 was Final Fantasy VII. Fun fact, though, the reason why it went with PlayStation instead of Nintendo, which had like the other Final Fantasy games, it all just comes down to the way that you could fit more stuff on the PS1 disc, and Nintendo was using a cartridge, which was expensive, and you couldn't do a lot of the cutscenes and stuff like that. So that's something that we have to kind of look at into the future as well. So I mean, they kind of paid the price for having not having as much of a media availability. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Sony had exclusive rights to most Final Fantasy titles since, although I don't think so, because I remember the Xbox 360, there was that big moment when they had Final Fantasy games coming to Xbox 360 as well. It hasn't stopped rumors about PS5 exclusive Final Fantasy games coming to Xbox floating around since early 2025. In a recent article, Insider laid out his expectations for the upcoming showcase on June 8th. It outlines several confident predictions for the show, notably Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, and which they could all be arriving very soon. And again, a strong track record here to kind of showcase what's there. So all three major titles have seen PC releases not long after their initial launch on PlayStation. Even the Nintendo Switch 2 is confirmed to be getting Final Fantasy 7 Remake before any word on an Xbox release. With Xbox leaning so heavily into its Game Pass subscription, players may even see all three titles drop on the service at the same time. Which, I mean, that's the only play for Microsoft, in my opinion, at this point. If you're going to announce these games, it's not just enough to announce these years and years old games on your showcase, you know what I mean? Really, you would have to have them go into Game Pass day one, you know, to make it worthwhile, I think. You know, that's, of course, just my humble opinion on, you know, on the subject. But if it does turn out to be true, the final installment in the remake trilogy might be released. I doubt it's released simultaneously, though. Something tells me Sony has some type of exclusivity on that. Something that could certainly help boost sales. It's possible that given Square Enix's recent multi-platform shift, whatever exclusivity deal was in place for Final Fantasy franchise might finally be coming to an end. It would be a good thing for Xbox, especially with Square Enix recently hinting at a Final Fantasy IX remake. Xbox fans might be in for a treat if the franchise is truly making a return. You know, again, I think it all comes down to whether or not it's true. Now, if we go through the showcase and we still don't see anything from, you know, this franchise, then I would suggest that, yeah, probably we might not be seeing these games on Xbox, you know. And listen, I don't see these games, you know, I can see why, even as an Xbox fan, why Square would, you know, not release these games on Xbox, you know, as a priority, because, you know, it's well known that, you know, people in general on Xbox aren't really heavy into buying games. So yeah, you know, it's a bit of a weird situation for sure. I do feel like, you know, Microsoft has, you know, some things that they have going for them, but at the same point in time, when your platform has like the least amount of sales, it's hard to justify, you know, rushing anything out. You know, you can understand why maybe they would, you know, go to point out, you know, hey, you know, it's we're going to PC. You can understand that much, and then you might go, well, what about the Switch 2? I think, you know, assuming that, you know, we get this announcement at this showcase, I think the Switch announcement just came sooner because it was before Xbox's showcase, and I think Microsoft wanted to try and save this for some type of surprise, possibly. You know, I'm not 100% sure how they want to work it, but, you know, again, Microsoft isn't, you know, completely foolish. Hopefully they, you know, listen to, you know, the fans and try to make things right as much as we possibly can, you know. And you know, Microsoft is not exactly known for, you know, sticking true to, you know, their original ideas and things like that. That's, like, I think the most unfortunate thing about all this stuff is that when it comes down to it, you know, they change course very fast. So even if, you know, you think they might be planning to do something one way, obviously they can, like, at a drop of a hat, decide to do something a totally different way. And that's, I think, the most disappointing thing about Xbox. You know, it's just realistically not a thing that people realistically want to see. So I don't know. You know, I hope Microsoft continues on with the Xbox consoles and things like that. I also think that, you know, it's going to be a very challenging time, because I think a lot of us are going to see, you know, see how all this thing kind of works out. You know, like, the showcases used to be such a big deal, and now they don't really seem like that. So, you know, we'll see. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited to, you know, to see what's going on with the show? What do you want to see? Do you want to see more than, you know, the Final Fantasy games? Is it too late for that unless they're in Game Pass? It's just like, I don't know. I think Microsoft has really kind of contributed heavily to people not buying games. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. I'll catch you guys next time. Crap Gamer out.